the way to go. It's called the molar stroke. You can search it online. Online, they'll just show you how to do the molar stroke as even triplets, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then eventually you go. It's hard to find the one where they change it into the swing beat. So just remember, those 3 notes, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, can become 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then it's like the jazz right. All right. Excuse me. All right. That's the first part that I want to talk about, just the licks. So are y'all good with licks? Also, if you have any questions, just shout them out at any time. Okay. Here's the next kind of things I want to talk about. Who here thinks that they're like pretty confident as like people or as players? Or who thinks they're not confident? Actually, you don't even have to answer because it doesn't matter. The point is, we need to build up confidence in everybody. Like as a performer, as a player, we have to have confidence. It's so important because, like, you know how people say, like, you don't remember what people say, you remember how they make you feel? It's the same with music. You don't always necessarily remember all the things that each person played, but you remember, like, the feeling that they gave you. Like, imagine you go to a show and you watch somebody perform and they're not confident. You can feel it right away, and that's the lasting impression. So like, it's very important to build up confidence. And also irrational confidence. There's the term I like to use called irrational confidence. You kind of have to have it. Here's my perspective, okay? And it's very real, and I deal with this the same way that almost every other musician deals with it. I'm 29 now. I'm not the best drummer in the world. I've probably missed my chance to be the best drummer in the world because I'm a little bit older now, and also I realize, like, I have friends that have like crazy work ethic, and I might not be able to match that, you know. But that being said, I still have all my gigs. I'm still working a lot. I still do gigs all around the world, you know? And I still play for a lot of people, and I still have my personal confidence. You have to have your personal confidence. If you're not gonna be confident in yourself, unless you're the best drummer ever, then you're most likely never gonna be confident in yourself. There's only so many best drummers ever. We've all heard of them. Elvin Jones, Brian Blade, Eric Harland, whoever your favorite drummer is. Those guys are on the pantheon. The rest of us, we still have to play. We still have to go to our gigs and do our thing. We still have to touch the people we're performing to. You can't, just because you're not the best drummer ever, it doesn't mean that you can't go and do your thing. You have to. In fact, if you don't, you can't really perform. Now, that's easy just to say, like, oh, be confident, you know, you got this, you know? But how? How do you be confident? Basically, there's certain ways. I think there's a very common saying, like preparation and practice will make you confident. Okay, and that's very true. Especially if you're honest with yourself. I've worked hard, even if you're not at like a super high level. You still have your own personal confidence. You know, I've worked hard on this, and I can do my thing. The second thing is, which is always a quandary, you get into a musical situation and you're like, I am who I am, you know? I have kind of shaky timing, and it's hard for me to like play quiet or whatever, you know? What do you do? What do you do in that situation? You can only be can only be who you are. So what do you do in a situation where you need to play your best? What do you start thinking about? And like I said, you don't necessarily have to respond. It'd be nice if you responded in your own head. I'm looking for a specific answer. That's why I'm not asking you guys to shout it out to me. There are a million right answers, so you guys can have your personal answer. My answer to this question, what to do when you're in a situation where you need to play well and where you just are yourself and you have to be musicality. If you can play musically, it will work. You can always be more musical. Like when I'm in a situation, playing situation, where I'm like, oh my god, everyone's better than me, and I'm the worst player here, what can you do to make a good musical impression, to be musical? It's just to have a strong sense of musicality, to be musical. Now what does that mean? Such a super broad term, right? Musicality, like what is musicality? What are some of the good things that are musical? Like having good timing. What are some other good things for musical that make you musical? Play simple. What about some other ones? What's something musical to do?
Enjoy.
Yep, enjoy. Great. What else? Listen. Yes, exactly. All of these things are what musicality is. But when do you use them? You know, when do you use when do you play simple? But is playing complex not musical? Actually, it's not musical. Playing complex is also a musical thing. Playing simple is also a musical thing. Playing quiet is musical, right? But is playing loud not musical? No, playing loud is musical too, right? So how do you figure out how to be musical? I think the answer to that is to be flexible and to be situational. Like flexible in that you're cool with everything happening around you and you take it in and you move with it. Like there's that famous Bruce Lee video where he's talking about being like water. It's like it's the same thing. You have to be in the situation. That's the most musical thing. So sometimes it's playing loud, sometimes it's playing quiet, sometimes it's playing simple, sometimes it's playing complex, whatever it is. And being situational, the same thing. Like in every situation, it's a little bit different. And to be perfect in that situation is what being musical is. That's why you can play with any level of player, any level of player. And if you're musical, it'll be musical, it'll be happy. That person will like playing with you. And in fact, you can be at a high level and play unmusically, and everyone will still hate playing with you. Being musical is like the most super important thing. Okay, so it's like musicality, flexibility, it's like there's all these things. So how do we actually achieve those things? Now, the first thing I want to talk about is, or the first thing that's like can lead you to being flexible mind-wise is also to be flexible and relaxed body-wise. It's super important. Actually, a bunch of the drummers that we saw, and I imagine the rest of us too, and myself included, were very tense when we play. I can see it in your shoulders. I can see it in the way you hold your sticks. We've got to get rid of tension. You cannot do anything with tense bodies or tense minds. You just can't. If you imagine any of your favorite drummers in any style, like you think about Philly Joe, is he tense? No, not at all. If you think about Gospel Chopper, Aaron Spears, is he tense? No, not at all. He's playing hardcore stuff, but it's not tense at all. Because you cannot play when you're tense. Okay, so like I want to get our physical bodies actually loose right now. So can we like all stand up?